Ladies and gentlemen, the Palace Press Officer under Secretary Claire Castro.
Maayong hapon, Cebu. Bilang panimula, ating panoorin ang mensahe ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. para sa gaganapin na 40th ASEAN Summit and related meetings dito sa Cebu.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Today, Cebu welcomes ASEAN leaders to the 48th ASEAN Summit and related meetings. As ASEAN Chair this year, the Philippines carries with pride and resolve the responsibility of shaping the future of the region. It has been 9 years since the Philippines last chairs ASEAN. Since then, our region has shown remarkable resilience, overcoming major obstacles and making meaningful progress. But our work is far from over, as we continue to wrestle against an increasingly complex global environment where prompt and sustained cooperation is crucial. And that is why our theme this year, Navigating Our Future Together, is both timely and necessary. For the Philippines, this is not just a statement, but a commitment that anchors our strategic intent in steering a future that is peaceful, prosperous, and people-centered. We underscore that the only way forward is for ASEAN to remain united, coalescing as a force for good in the region, with ASEAN centrality as our guiding principle. This year, we welcome Timor-Leste as a full-fledged member of ASEAN, a reflection of the continued relevance of regional cooperation and our shared commitment to the ideals of multilateralism. The Philippines, together with other ASEAN member states, will engage in productive dialogue and exchange views on regional and global issues. Mindful of the problems confronting ASEAN peoples today, we will spotlight 3 main priorities: energy security, food security, and the safety of ASEAN nationals across the world. At this summit, I will lead discussions on how the region can bolster regional preparedness, ensure stable energy supply, and accelerate energy diversification to reduce vulnerability to external shocks, including those stemming from the conflict in the Middle East. I will push to strengthen food security in the region, keeping the free flow of essential goods and building measures to support farmers and MSMEs. I will also ensure that ASEAN nationals across the world feel the impact of what we do here in the region. Their safety is equally important, recognizing the contribution of overseas ASEAN nationals in our societies and our economies. As chair, the Philippines will continue to champion the founding ideals of ASEAN: peaceful coexistence, mutual respect, and cooperation for shared benefit. We will continue to stress that as one region, our efforts will truly be effective on the basis of a unified approach and collective vision. Through these actions, we will embrace an ASEAN where its peoples enjoy a secure, peaceful, and stable future. As Cebu takes center stage for the 48th ASEAN Summit, the Philippines warmly welcomes all delegations with a mark of Filipino hospitality, one that is rooted in our rich cultural heritage, shaped by timeless traditions and animated through people's openness and warmth. Para sa bayan, para sa ASEAN. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Pamamahagi ng tulong sa taong bayan sa ilalim ng iba't ibang programa ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. nagpapatuloy. Ngayong hapon, pangungunahan ng Pangulo ang Bawat Bayan Makikinabang program sa lungsod ng Muntinlupa, Las Piñas, Parañaque at Pasay. Dito, inaasahang mamamahagi ang Pangulo ng tulong pinansyal na aabot sa halos 50 million pesos sa ilalim ng Socio-Civic Projects Fund. Mapapakinabangan ito ng 200 barangays sa Muntinlupa, Las Piñas, Parañaque at Pasay City. Iisa lang ang layunin ni Pangulong Marcos Jr., ang matulungan ang taong bayan na unti-unting makaahon sa buhay. Pero sa likod nito, patuloy ang panawagan ng Pangulo ng tuloy-tuloy na pagsisikap at pagtutulungan upang mas maging maginhawa, magaan at maunlad ang buhay ng bawat Pilipino. Sa ilalim ito ng Bagong Pilipinas. At para sa ASEAN-related updates, makakasama natin si Assistant Secretary Dominic Xavier Imperial, ang tagapagsalita ng DFA para sa ASEAN Summit. Magandang hapon sa iyo, sir.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Thank you very much, UC Claire. So, I'm ready po for your questions.
Okay, first question mula kay RD Morales, MYTV Cebu.
This is with regards to the preparation of our ASEAN. Nung bago po, 2 weeks before itong highly anticipated natin na summit, we noticed in some parts of Lapu-Lapu City and Cordova, particularly in Pilipog Road, which was a very dark road. Ngayon po, mapansin namin na meron na pong mga ilaw. And although we don't want to be negative, we welcome recent efforts of beautification efforts for our ASEAN delegates. Why do essential infrastructure improvements such as adequate street lighting in parts of Lapu-Lapu City and Cordova appear to be prioritized only in response to high-profile events rather than addressed as long-standing public needs?
Regarding po sa inyong tanong on the beautification efforts, actually it's another organization is handling that, the National Organizing Council. But what I can share with you is when it comes to events such as the ASEAN Summit, usually we really do prepare for these summits because after all we are welcoming our other delegations, and at the same time we want to showcase the Philippines, and the purpose of that is not only to be welcoming but to also show to the world that we are ready, that we are committed, and that we are ready for business. Kumbaga, it also attracts investments. So in that regard, maganda po yung patutunguhan nito mga beautification projects. However, yung detalye po nito, I won't be able to provide because I think it would be better for the National Organizing Council to address that.
Okay. Sunod na tanong mula kay Jessa Agua Ilanan, Radyo Pilipinas, Cebu.
With the recalibration of some of the ASEAN 2026 meetings from face-to-face to virtual, this is following the directive of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. May we ask, sir, how much has the Philippine government saved in terms of expenses in as far as ASEAN hosting in Cebu and the Philippines is concerned?
As the President mentioned, the preparations is really bare bones. And for instance, what I can cite at the moment is instead of a long summit this week, we shortened it. The Leaders Summit is only for 1 day. And we're deferring the other day of that to the next summit. And when it comes to the preparatory meetings, we have also shortened that. It was supposed to start on the 5th. But the working group has shifted to online or video conferencing. So that saved a lot of money in terms of delegates coming here and using venues for that purpose. Now on the preparatory meetings for the SOM leaders and the ministers, that was also shortened and keep very austere the preparations.
Sunod na tanong mula kay Nathaniel Sandoval, Bombo Radio Cebu.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. My question is, one of the main highlights for ASEAN leaders meeting tomorrow is the tackling of the ongoing energy and the fuel crisis, which have affected every Southeast Asian nations. And sharing with the, we have experience these days, are we expecting the fuel sharing framework among ASEAN nations to be brought out to the table by our president as the chair tomorrow, sir?
So as already mentioned previously, and in fact also coming from the president himself, the summit, while we will continue with the Philippines' commitment as chair to tackle the usual agenda items, we are also focusing on 3, and one of which is energy security, as you mentioned. So for the energy security, the purpose of the summit is for the leaders to discuss the ways forward, lessons learned, and identifying concrete measures. So importante po yung concrete measures. So hindi lamang po ito mag-uusap-usap ang ating mga pinuno, kundi pag-uusapan din po nila ano ba talaga yung mga mekanismo na pwede nating magamit para po sa susunod na mga krisis, meron na po tayong mas maagap na pagtugon dun sa mga krisis na yun.
Sige, sir.
Sunod na tanong mula kay Michelle Palaudsanon, The Freeman.
Wala yung questions. Next na lang.
Okay? Sunod na tanong mula kay Jim Rabiosa, SMNI. Jim Ray. Okay. Si Kat Cacho Laurejas Sunstar.
Hello po, good afternoon. My question is, when can Filipinos begin to feel the impact or benefits of the Philippines and Cebu hosting of the ASEAN Summit? And may we know also how many additional jobs were generated by the Philippines hosting of the summit, especially for Cebu? Thank you.
Maraming salamat po sa tanong. Actually po yung impact nitong ASEAN, yung chairship natin, matagal na po nating nararamdaman ito. Although naintindihan po natin na yung ating experience as regards the impact of the chairship and of the ASEAN, of course ano po yun, iba-iba sa bawat sa atin. Sinabi ko po yun na nararamdaman na po natin yung impact because una-una po when we look at the security and political situation in the region, not only in the Philippines, malaking tulong po iyon na merong kapayapaan sa ating rehiyon sapagkat yung pong situation na yon, actually it gives everyone confidence na pwede silang makipag-partner with the Philippines, especially sa mga investors, pati po yung mga private sectors. And leading to the economic pillar, yung pong trade na ating tinatamasa ngayon dahil sa ASEAN and especially with this chairship, marami po tayong sinusulong na mga priorities on that. So yung pong mga trade na yun, actually they're already ongoing. We already experienced that. At nakakatulong po yun sa mga MSMEs and dahil po doon, nakakatulong din po yun sa trabaho, sa kabuhayan ng mga kababayan po natin. And then, yung sa ano naman po, yung sa third pillar natin, yung socio-cultural, gusto ko rin pong banggitin yon kasi yung climate change po na natatamasa na natin, hindi lang lamang sa Pilipinas, kung hindi sa rehiyon din at sa buong mundo, marami na pong pag-uusap tungkol doon sa ASEAN. And yung mga capacity building, technical assistance, pati po yung mga policies, lahat po yun meron na tayo at yun po ay gumagana na at dahil po doon, mas handa po tayo sa mga kailangan nating gawin pag mayroon tayong mga natural calamities. At the same time, yung partnership po natin sa mga dialogue partners, importante din po yun kasi tumutulong din sila sa atin. So nakakatulong yon sa mga pangangailangan natin ng Pilipinas para matugunan natin yung problema na dinudulot ng climate change.
Okay, sunod na tanong mula kay Rafi Ayeng, Daily Tribune.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, sino po yung mga leaders na nag-confirm na to attend and to join the ASEAN Summit? And do we have a rough estimate of the number of foreign contingents coming in to Cebu?
On the leaders, all the leaders are attending. And for Myanmar, they will be represented by the Permanent Secretary of their Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the SOM leader. You mean the entire delegation of the ASEAN member states? Mahirap pong i-estimate yon because yung yung mga delegasyon may sarili silang numero kung ilan po yung sasama sa kanila. But kung titingnan po natin yung basic, we have only the 11 leaders plus yung kanilang ministers and yung kanilang SOM leaders and yung kanilang director general. So kung isusuma total po natin yun, maliit lamang po yun. Subalit yun nga po, meron pa silang discretion po ng mga leaders na samahan sila ng iba pang officials nila.
Sir, may we know the reason bakit hindi po makakarating yung leader ng Myanmar?
We are guided by the leader's decision. Nung meron pong lumabas na desisyon yung mga leaders noon na because of the situation in Myanmar, so ang decision po noon for the summits, the representation of Myanmar would be their SOM leader and the permanent secretary. And for that reason, dahil hindi naman po nabago yun, at wala pa naman pong bagong desisyon yung mga leaders, so ganun pa rin po, the representation of Myanmar stands.
Okay, sunod na tanong mula kay Jervis Manahan, ABS-CBN.
Hello po. Kanina po, dun sa earlier briefing po ninyo, you mentioned that separate negotiation yung sa South China Sea Code of Conduct, but you said na encouraging naman yung commitment of the countries. So is this a categorical answer na hindi matidiscuss ang COC in this year's ASEAN Summit?
It will be discussed during this summit. It will form part of the discussions under specific agenda, which is the regional and international issues. So it will still be part of the discussions.
But no binding agreement is expected to be.
Yes, it's a different one. The negotiations is a different meeting.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Sunod na tanong mula kay Ace Romero, Philippine Star.
ASEC, you mentioned that there will be a joint statement on the Middle East crisis. Do you see any challenge or any impediment or any ticklish issue with regard to that, given that the U.S. is a partner of the ASEAN and the U.S. is very much involved in the war in Iran? So how do you see the discussions with regard to that issue?
We're actually very confident about the declaration on that, on how ASEAN will respond to the Middle East crisis. We do not see any impediment. In fact, we are very encouraged by the commitment of all the ASEAN member states. The main purpose really here is for all the member states, ASEAN, to be able to come up with measures that will help us respond not only to the current situation now, but also to other future crises. And I want also to mention ASEAN centrality. That's very important, and it's also a priority of the Philippines as chair to uphold ASEAN centrality. And I think that's what we are seeing, especially for this outcome document.
Do we expect a strongly worded statement on the war on the Middle East, or maybe some categorical appeal for the U.S. and other parties to stop the conflict, which is disrupting supply chains?
The document is being negotiated, so I don't want to preempt it. But what I can share with you right now is there will definitely be a reference to that.
Okay, wala nang katanungan tungkol sa Harley Balbuena, IBC 13.
Hi, sir. Just a follow-up from an earlier question. Amid the energy emergency, will the President use the hosting of the 48th ASEAN Summit as an opportunity to secure additional oil supply for the Philippines, since some of our neighboring countries in the ASEAN are oil producers, such as Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, and Brunei?
So again, the negotiations are ongoing, but I don't want to preempt the result of what we will have after the summit. But we are again confident that what will come out of this is something that will be beneficial not only to the region but especially to the Philippines. We are happy to see that all ASEAN member states are really united in finding a way for us to support each other. And that already includes whether one ASEAN country will need something and one ASEAN country will be able to provide something. So those are part of the negotiations.
Okay, wala nang katanungan tungkol sa ASEAN. Maraming salamat, ASEC Dax Imperial. Balik sa inyo,
Maraming
Sir
salamat.
Claire.
Thank you very much, ASEC Imperial. For such a very short notice, you were able to accommodate us. Thank you very much for such entitlement. At bago po tayo mag-start sa inyong mga katanungan, gusto ko muna pong batiin ang ating Secretary, Secretary Dave Gomez, na kasama po natin ngayon, hapon. At maaari na po akong tumanggap ng inyong mga katanungan.
Unang tanong mula kay Junel Maribohok, UNTV.
Magandang hapon, Yusek. Baka may reaction po ang palasyo dun sa pagkakaaresto kay Franco Mabanta, PGMN founder, kaugnay dito po sa extortion case sa dating speaker.
Ang nais naman po ng Pangulo sa lahat ng pagkakataon, managot ang dapat na managot. Kung mayroon po silang dapat na panagutan, kung mayroon po silang ginawang krimen, dapat lamang po nilang itong panagutan. Pero definitely, kailangan po ng due process sa lahat ng bagay.
Follow up po, kilala po ba siya ng kilala po ba siya ng Pangulo dahil sinasabing may papel daw tong si Mabanta dun sa online political campaigns noon na sumusuporta kay Pangulong Marcos?
Hindi po siya kaibigan ng Pangulo, pero siguro mas nanaisin ko po kung ito po ang inyong itatanong dahil ito po ay mismong pinost ni Franco Mabanta. Baka ito po ang itanong nyo kung ano po ang relasyon niya sa mga Duterte. Nandiyan pa nga po si Harry Roque.
Quick follow-up sa inyo pong pagkakaalam, Yusek, ano po ang relasyon po kaya ni Mabanta sa mga Duterte?
Ay, kayo po ang magtanong sa kanya. Lalong-lalo na po, marami naman po yata siyang na-feature sa kanya mga articles na halos ay kumakalaban sa administrasyon.
Sunod na tanong mula kay Jervis Manahan, ABS-CBN.
Hello po, ma'am. Si VP Sara po ay nagpa-interview sa The Hague, sa Netherlands. And sinabi po niya na the country is facing a triple whammy from rising fuel costs, a weakening peso, and soaring inflation. At sinabi rin po niya na dapat tulungan ng pinakamahirap dahil baka sila ang gumawa ng krimen. And she also said na wala ng pera ang Pilipinas dahil sa utos ng DBM na i-check ang savings ng mga opisina. Any comment po dito? At hindi daw po ba aware si VP na ito ay para sa uplift funds?
Okay, unang-una, may kasama po ba siya mula sa mainstream media habang siya ay nagsasagawa ng kanyang press con? Press po ba talaga ang kanyang kasama? Tanong ko lamang po yan. Well, anyway, unang putok pa lamang po sa Middle East, February 28, nag-utos na po ang Pangulo kung paano matutulungan at marirepatriate ang mga kababayan nating Pilipino na mga OFWs sa Middle East. Unang araw pa lamang po yan, habang ang Vice Presidente ay nasa ibang bansa noon. Nagsagawa na po at nag-utos na po ang Pangulo sa DSWD kung paano natin matutulungan ang mga drivers. Ang mga tricycle drivers, PUVs, motorcycle taxi, lahat po. Pinatulungan na po at alam po nating lahat yan. Hindi lamang po yan. Mayroon pa pong fuel subsidy. At mayroon pa pong tupad project. At maliban po dyan, nag-create nga po ng uplift para po ma-monitor kung paano po matutulungan ang mga kababayan natin, lalong-lalo na yung mga nangangailangan. So yun po kasi ang nagiging problema sa isang opisyal na lagi pong nakabakasyon, hindi po niya nalalaman kung ano po ang nagiging programa ng gobyerno. Sa kasalukuyan po, tayo po ay abala sa ASEAN Summit, ang Pangulo ay abala sa ASEAN Summit, pero ang Vice Presidente ay nakabakasyong muli.
Sunod na tanong mula kay Rafi Ayang, Daily Tribune.
Hi, Yusek. Good afternoon po. Reaction na lang ng Malacanang sa doon naman sa trade of tirades and allegations sa pagitan naman ni Executive Secretary Ralph Recto and Batangas Representative Leandro Lebiste. Hindi po ba pinagsasabihan ng palasyo si ES na huwag na lamang patulan ang issue? Kasi sabi kasi ni Representative Lebiste, and I quote, "At sa totoo lang, enjoy na enjoy ako dito, lalo na't pinapatulan ako ng Little President at iba't ibang mga kongresista. Tinawag nga akong kulang sa pansin, di ba? Baka mas madismaya pa ako kung hindi nila ako papansinin."
Oh, di ba, tanong niyo po, dapat bang patulan pa ni ES Ralph Recto? Eh di sana po ang mainstream media at ibang mga SOCMED dapat hindi na rin siya patulan. Dahil ang sabi niya ay kulang lamang daw siya sa pansin. But anyway, ang Pangulo po ay nagkaroon po ng pagpupulong kasama si Executive Secretary Ralph Recto kahapon at hindi po ito napag-usapan. So, kung meron man silang personal na alitan, sa kanilang dalawa na lamang po yun. At sa ating pagkakaalam ay sumagot na po si Executive Secretary Ralph Recto at basahin nyo na lamang po kung ano ang mensahe ni ES Ralph Recto.
Thank you.
Sunod na tanong mula kay Luisa Cabato, Inquirer.net.
Good afternoon po, Yusek. What is the update on the government's response efforts to those affected by the recent activity of Mayon volcano, especially since Albay has already placed several areas under state of calamity?
Yes, opo. Unang-una po, inutusan na po ng Pangulo ang lahat ng mga concerned agencies. At sa ngayon nga po ay nagbigay ng pinaka-update na report ang DSWD. Nakapagbigay na po ng 93,373 food packs, 1,402 ready-to-eat food boxes, and 7,634 non-food items. At nandun din po ang continuous debris clearing operations, kasama po ang, of course, ang Office of the Civil Defense, DPWH, BFP, PNP, LGUs, and other concerned agencies. Nandyan din po ang maintaining strict enforcement of 6-kilometer danger zone and evacuation protocols, and to ensure proper management and operations of evacuation centers, and to sustain, of course, the provision of essential services, kagaya po ng pagkain at iba pang mga pangangailangan, and provide health services to affected persons. And of course, kasama rin po dito to provide veterinary care for evacuated animals and to conduct post-disaster assessments. So yun po, patuloy pa po hanggang sa ngayon ang pagmamonitor dito po sa nagaganap sa Mayon volcano, sa Albay.
Sunod na tanong mula kay Carl Magada, Daily Tribune.
Yusek, may we have an update on status of DOLE Secretary Laguesma? Meron po kasi mga balita na sinasabi nila na meron ng sakit and baka possibly mapalitan na siya.
Pagka po meron na po akong update, ay ipapahayag ko po sa inyo agad-agad.
Thank you.
Okay, wala nang tanong mula sa Cebu Media at sa Malacanang Press Corps. Balik sa iyo, Yusek Claire.
At bago tayo magtapos, Philippine National Police patuloy na pinagkakatiwalaan ng maraming Pilipino. Ayon ito sa pinakabagong tugon ng masa survey na isinagawa ng Okta Research mula March 19 to 25 ngayong taon. Lumalabas sa survey na 63% ng mga respondents ang patuloy na nagtitiwala sa PNP, habang 61% naman ang nananatiling kontento sa pagganap nito sa tungkulin sa first quarter ng 2026. Ayon pa sa ulat ng Okta, naitala ang pinakamataas na trust rating ng PNP sa Mindanao, kung saan umabot sa 74% ang patuloy na nagtitiwala. Sinundan naman ito ng Visayas na may 66% trust rating at Balance Luzon sa 59%. Pagdating naman sa performance rating, nakakuha ang PNP ng 69% sa Mindanao, 63% sa Visayas at 59% mula sa Balance Luzon. Isinagawa ang survey sa pamamagitan ng face-to-face interviews sa 1,200 respondents mula edad 18 pataas. Sa kabila ng nananatiling mataas na tiwala ng taumbayan sa ating mga kapulisan, patuloy na gagampanan ng ahensya ang sinumpaan nitong tungkulin na protektahan at paglingkuran ang sambayanang Pilipino. At lagi po natin tandaan, ang bagong Pilipino ay handang mag-alay ng talino at kasanayan para sa ikauunlad ng bayan. Og dinhi, natapos ang atong press briefing. Maayong adlaw, alang sa bagong Pilipinas.